Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're tuning in today because we are looking at an organization of truly staggering proportions. We're talking about the Indian Army. This is the massive, fiercely proud, land-based branch of the Indian Armed Forces. It's an institution that literally serves as the ultimate symbol of national pride for over 1 billion people. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it operates, from its incredible global scale right down to its foundational human ethos. But before we really get into the weeds here, I want you to just pause and think about this for a second. With an estimated military budget of over $92 billion and well over 1 million active personnel, what does it actually take to run one of the world's most powerful military forces? I mean, just try to imagine the sheer logistics, the complex command structures, and the immense coordination required to manage something of that size. It's totally mind-boggling. All right, let's dive right in. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. A global military power. 2. Mission and leadership. 3. The rank structure. 4. History and Army Day. And finally, 5. Core values and legacy. Section 1. A global military power. To wrap our heads around the Indian Army, we really need to first grasp the absolute magnitude of this organization on the world stage. According to the upcoming 2026 Global Firepower Index, India firmly holds the 4th place ranking in overall global military strength. They're sitting right behind the US, Russia, and China. And to sustain a force of this caliber, the financial commitment is, well, it's immense. As I mentioned earlier, their military budget sits at about $92.1 billion. That makes India the 5th highest spender globally when it comes to defense. Okay, so we know the budget is astronomical. But what about the human element? Let's test your knowledge real quick. India has around how many active personnel? Any guesses? Boom! The answer is a staggering 1.45 million active personnel. That is the second highest number of active military personnel on the entire planet. And get this, that's not even counting the reserves. They have roughly another 1 million reserve personnel ready to be called up if needed. The sheer scale is just incredible. Now, what's really fascinating here is how those personnel are actually distributed across the different branches. As you'll see, the Indian Army makes up a whopping 84.9% of the total active force. That's roughly 1,248,000 people just in the Army. It completely, utterly dwarfs the Air Force, which sits at around 149,900 personnel, and the Navy, which is between 70,000 and 75,000. So this land-based branch is quite literally the colossal backbone of the armed forces.
Moving right along to Section 2, Mission and Leadership.
So how on earth do you govern a group of 1.248 million people? It's like running a small country. And what exactly are they tasked with doing? Well, their primary mission is twofold: safeguard the nation's territorial integrity against external threats and maintain peace and security internally. Now, to execute a mission like that, you need a crystal clear chain of command. Let me ask you this: who is officially known as the Supreme Commander of the Indian Armed Forces? If you said the President of India, you hit the nail on the head. There is a very clear delineation here between civilian oversight and military leadership. The Supreme Commander is the President. However, the actual operational head of the Army, the person running the day-to-day, is the Chief of the Army Staff, or the COS. This position is held by a 4-star general, which represents the highest active rank in the entire force. Okay, Section 3, the rank structure. To manage over 1 million soldiers and keep everything running smoothly, the Indian Army relies on a deeply organized hierarchical structure. We aren't going to sit here and read every single specific role today, but let's look at the overarching flow of authority. The hierarchy is basically broken down into 3 main tiers. On the entry level, you have your soldiers and non-commissioned officers, starting with a Sipahi. As they move up, they might reach the rank of Havildar, which is basically the equivalent of a sergeant. Then in the middle, we have the junior commissioned officers, spanning from Naib Subedar up to Subedar. And finally, on the commission side, the track begins at lieutenant, scaling all the way up through captain, major, colonel, brigadier, major general, lieutenant general, and capping off with that 4-star general. It is a highly structured ladder of leadership. But wait, actually, scratch that. There is one rank higher than a 4-star general. And let's see if any history buffs know this one. Which 2 legendary officers are the only ones to have ever held the elusive 5-star rank of Field Marshal? This right here brilliantly illustrates the reverence the Army holds for true, absolute exceptionalism. The rank of Field Marshal is an honorary, five-star rank. It's not part of the standard active command structure. Instead, it's awarded exclusively for exceptional service during wartime. Throughout the entire history of the Indian Army, only two officers have ever earned this ultimate distinction: Sam Manekshaw and K.M. Karyappa. Talk about legendary status. Which perfectly tees up Section 4, History and Army Day. You really can't grasp what the modern Indian Army is today without looking at the crucible of conflict that forged it. Over the decades, they have consistently proven their strategic and tactical strength through major wars, notably in 1947, 1962, 1965, 1971, and the 1999 Kargil War. To honor the courage and selfless service of its soldiers, the nation celebrates Army Day on January 15th every single year. But here's a fun historical mystery for you. Does anyone know why that specific date, January 15th, was chosen out of the whole calendar? To answer that, we have to jump back in time a bit. The modern Indian Army was actually officially established way back on April 1st, 1895. But crucially, that was under British rule. The Army's true identity transformed significantly when India gained independence in 1947. But it wasn't actually until 1949 that a massive milestone in leadership was finally reached. And here is that exact milestone. January 15, 1949, marks the historic moment when Field Marshal K.M. Karyappa officially took the reins as the first Indian commander-in-chief of the Indian Army. He succeeded General Francis Roy Booker, who was the last British commander-in-chief. So January 15th signals the full, final transition of the Army's leadership over to India. That is exactly why the date is so deeply celebrated to this day. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Core Values and Legacy. We've thrown a lot of numbers around. Billions of dollars, over 1 million troops, the complex structure, the long history. But what is the actual heartbeat of this colossal machine? Let's do one last question to set up their core philosophy. What is the official motto of the Indian Army that emphasizes putting others first? It's this right here, service before self. And look, this isn't just some PR slogan slapped on a brochure. It is the absolute anchor of their renowned discipline, courage, and dedication. It literally means that the safety, honor, and welfare of the nation come first, always, and every single time. I think this ethos is probably best summed up by a sentiment you'll hear widely respected within their ranks. Either I will come back after hoisting the tricolor, or I will come back wrapped in it. Just take a second to really absorb the emotional weight of those words. That is the ultimate level of sacrifice and resolve. It perfectly encapsulates that unstoppable fight-to-win spirit that defines the Indian soldier. Which brings us to our conclusion for today. We've explored the staggering data, the meticulous structure, and the profound history of the Indian Army. The real takeaway from our explainer today is to stay inspired by this incredible bravery, to build a stronger future, and to face every challenge with that exact same fight-to-win spirit. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. In your own life, in your own daily battles, how can you apply this legacy of service before self to overcome your own challenges? Really think about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this helped you grasp the true scale and legacy of the Indian Army. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.